Recruitment's a big one, so I kind of wanted to do a toolkit, but I also wanted support. So that's what this is about. It's trying to kind of show you where we're going and then get your feedback and input and then create a final document that'll be on our resources page. So we're going to go, is that ready? Perfect. So we want to explore the core principles of effective recruitment, onboarding, and retention. We want to focus on First Nations specifically. We want to highlight that and showcase what it is that you like, the vision, the values, the core principles, the cultural components, the teachings. We want to highlight that. We want people to want to come and work for us because we've got a really amazing organization, but we want them to stay because they love it. So I really think that feedback, like giving back and being a member of your community and working in your community is something really great and valuable about it, so we want to highlight that. So we want to explore the importance of effective onboarding. We want to weigh out the positives and negatives of onboarding. We want to outline the financial impacts and the timelines that we're facing with onboarding. Highlight additional challenges that recruitment for First Nations face. We want to share our experiences that First Nations and insights that you have, because we can together kind of work through those and navigate those, and we want to share resources. So I'm going to share with you at the end this toolkit that I'm in the process of completing. So the importance of effective onboarding. So onboarding is the process of integrating new employees into the organization. It encompasses the activities and practices that help hirees adjust to the company. We want them to understand the company culture. We want them to become productive members of our team. And having a structured onboarding process has proven to be far more successful for productivity in the first year. So effective onboarding is essential to ensuring increased retention, improved employee engagement, accelerated productivity, and morale and cultural alignment, as well as encouraging open communication and then feedback. So we really want that employee to come and give us criticism and feedback and share what we did well, what they've seen elsewhere that we could have implemented maybe, how we can do better. So it's constantly, we're striving to be better. So our first thing, on your tables, we've got a Slido quiz, or up here on. So I want everyone to take a picture, and then we're going to go through the questions together. So as you answer the first one, then we will get the live results. If anyone's having trouble getting on, we'll get one of our GovernWise people to come over and help you. So if you put up your hand if you're having any trouble. Yeah, you can do them now. You can go through them if you'd like. They're going to put the postings for each question once we're ready. Does anyone need assistance? Yeah, there's only one question up right now, I believe. Okay, so how do you usually provide onboarding training? Can we get the results? So most of us are still in a typical workplace environment. We've got 64% of people, or 64 people have completed. Anyone else? Can we still add to that? Or is it closed now? Might be closed. So typically, there's not many organizations that are hybrid or working remotely anymore. So this is a standard practice to have everything in person. Although you might have training that they're doing on the computer or things that are done independently. So there could be a little bit of a hybrid. Okay, so next question. How do you measure the success of your onboarding process? Keep them coming. Okay, performance. So performance metrics after 6 months. So how many are conducting performance evaluations at 6 months? It's a hard metric to meet if we're not always consistently doing that, right? 3 months, some of you? Okay. Yep. Yes. Yep. Some people's probationary periods are longer. Yeah. I think that the other parts of things can, like if we had more employee feedback, we might look at engagement more. If we had more input and we understood what people wanted, like there's other components to that. Okay, next question. What challenges do you encounter within your onboarding process? So just sharing some brief info, like just little, if you have anything to add. My other question to this is, does one HR person, like does your HR department hire or does your managers in your different departments hire? Who has HR that's doing their recruitment? Most? Okay. Okay, so just some input. We've got no communication structure or setup, the structure, no consistency, retention, no HR person, boarding, training, nepotism, managers' lack of input, no communication, building capacity, time, busy. We're all facing lots of challenges, and I think that one of the biggest challenges now is finding employees and finding people that are interested in working, and I think that's a barrier. So I think navigating that and trying to find really creative solutions might be a good option too, so we talk about that a little bit later. Okay, so the next question. What initiatives have you implemented in your onboarding process that have led to improved outcomes? So have you done anything that's really, that you can share, any insights that have improved your onboarding process? Love that. Lunch with the team. Nice. One-on-one. Nice. Job shadowing. Feedback. Lead by example. Started the conversation. Planning ahead. Regular staff meetings. Increased outreach. Perfect. Awesome. Okay, so final question. What resources, tools, techniques, or personnel have you found most effective that have enhanced your onboarding process? HRIS. Communication, job postings, being creative, training. Lots of these really fall around structured stuff, right? I think that's really important to note. Like, having that consistency is super important. Okay, perfect. So I've got some stats to share with you. Whoop. Okay, so onboarding stats. Company with a structured onboarding program see retention rates increase by 50% in the first year. New employees who go through a comprehensive onboarding process can reach full productivity by 60% faster than those who don't. Organizations with effective onboarding programs report higher employee engagement scores, with studies showing that engaged employees are 87% likely to, unengaged employees are 80% likely to leave their jobs. The cost of employee turnover in Canada can be 1.5 to 2 times an employee's annual salary. While many organizations have an onboarding program that lasts about a month, best practices suggest effective is 3 to 6 months for full integration of a new employee. And then around 70% of Canadian companies use digital tools and streamlining their process, kind of taking it forward into the next level of like IT services and support. And then everything's at your fingertips as well. So investing in a structured process is really can lead to significant changes and improvements within your employee and your overall organizational experience. These stats were taken from the Society for Human Resource Management, Gallup Research, LinkedIn, and McKinsey & Company. So I just wanted to share some positives and negatives, some that I've come across, some that are new. So having clear expectations, so new hires understanding their roles and understanding their responsibilities. Having a stronger team dynamic, so promoting collaboration and communication from the onset. Cultural integration, so helping new employees align with company values and culture. Increased job satisfaction, well-structured process leads to higher employee morale. And the negatives that we found is information overload. Often it's just way too much information in the first couple days. And a really good indicator of that is McDonald's used to hire, and they had an amazing recruiting process. But in our local McDonald's at home, they would stick this employee in the basement and they would go through modules. Well, we don't learn like that very well, so it's really hard to have success that way. So it can be a very time-consuming process. It takes a long time to hire that person and to have them integrate into that role and have them be productive and understand what their roles and responsibilities are. So we don't want to lengthen that process any longer than it has to be. We don't want it to have cultural misalignment, so they may not feel connected or they weren't properly integrated into the company. And then first impressions matter. So poor onboarding can lead to an automatic negative if they're not onboarded in the right way. So we want to ensure that we've got something that they feel connected, they feel welcomed, and they're already stepping into their role, and we're helping and supporting them. I can say I'm a remote worker with GovernWise, but I started in November, and from day one, I had a weekly team meeting with our organization, and I had a one-on-one with my boss. It was kind of a different role. Like, I feel very connected. We have monthly organizational meetings. I don't feel remote. So it's a different shift for remote work, but it's something that I think GovernWise has done really, really well. So next, cost factors. So there's lots of costs involved that sometimes we don't even think about because costs are just secondary. We need this position filled. How are we going to fill it? Get the right person in there. Let's do it. So recruiting costs, you've got salaries of employees, you've got job boards, you've got newspapers, you've got an interview cost of your panel, how many you're paying to sit on that panel to do it, maybe referral bonuses. You've got hiring costs, so advertising and sourcing of your recruiting costs, onboarding, interview panel stuff. You could have indirect costs that could be like relocation fees, professional development fees. You could have additional costs like your decrease in production. If you're production-based or based on, it could be impacting your reporting. If you don't have somebody there to do that work, it might halt your funds. So there's tons of different impacts on what you're doing within the organization and how long it takes us to fulfill those roles. Average cost for hiring in Canada. So a new hire in Canada, they say, these are statistics from the same Gallup and LinkedIn and such, $3,000 to $7,000 to hire a new individual for an organization in Canada. Replacing an employee can cost up to 1.5 to 2 times their annual salary. And it takes on average 27 to 40 days to fill a general role. So that's not specialized. That's not your band manager or executive director. That's a receptionist or an admin assistant or a finance clerk. So you're looking at even longer for those other roles. So I know that in my experience working with Shunya and Seven Generations Education Institute, I've worked for organizations that have multiple locations, and I still notice that we struggled with recruiting. Finding the right person that's the right fit is really, really tough. I say to my kids, I have a daughter that's an OPP cadet right now, but is that the right employer for you? It's not always just the decision of that organization to see if you're the right fit for them, but do you fit in here? Like, you have to work here for the rest of your life. So making sure that aligns and that they connect for that person is really important too. So First Nations often face geographical challenges. They can limit the access to the talent pool, increasing that cost factor for recruitment. Higher turnover rates, they can be 30 to 50% higher with specific industries that lead to increased recruitment costs. Recruitment resources, so limited resources or budget constraints, and finding qualified candidates can be a lot harder to fill the right role. Onboarding and training, we want to make sure that they're culturally aligned. We want the onboarding in the First Nations to not take longer. We want them to fit right in and jump into the programs and integrate really well into the team. And then the impact on economic factors, so funding limitations, economic challenges resulting in higher competition, and fewer available resources. So it's really tough to find the right candidate. So we want to really think of how can we, or how have you done that? How have you implemented that in your own? So I have a questionnaire that we're going to get the GovernWise team to hand out. But I also want you to share, if you have any insights, if you have anything to share, we want you to summarize and kind of give us a little bit of a brief intro. So I know for me, for example, we were having a really hard time finding for the health worker department, like clerk and records and that background kind of stuff. So we worked with Seven Generations to have an online, I talk with my hands, an online training program that would allow that person to work in their role and then take courses like 25% of the time, so that we were building capacity, but we were also getting them certified and qualified for the role. So it kind of set a standard as to what we wanted, but then we were improving and professionally developing our own people. So I think that really innovative and things like that maybe people have done, if you can share those, we greatly appreciate it. So we've got a questionnaire, and then we've got our mics if you'd like to speak.
Okay. A lot of my answers had weekly staff meetings as the answer to a lot of them.
Great, thank you, I appreciate that. Are you having staff meetings now on a regular basis? Yeah? Perfect. Anyone else? For me, I brainstormed a little, and I can fill in some holes, but personalizing that experience for them, for your community, really making it your own, I think is important. You're very different. Every community, you apply for the same funding, you've got similar jobs, you have similar roles, but really making your community stand out and personalizing that for people is important. I think it shows who you are and differentiates you from others. Starting beforehand, really doing the prep work that's involved for that onboarding process. Like, if you know, I'll use examples with ECE and educational assistants in the school boards. When that changed and when kindergarten classes had to add those roles, we weren't prepared, right? But we knew it was coming, so we could have done more training, and now they're doing similar at my school board and home. They've got EAs working part-time and going to school part-time, and then they're qualified at the end of the year. So it's a lot on that individual, but they're getting qualified, they're gaining experience and growing in the role. So I think there are really good ways, but it's about that strat planning and really thinking ahead is important too. Structured timelines are important, and cutting down on timelines. So lots of times the community will advertise and promote jobs and say that they are for community membership first, and then they're going external if no one is a successful candidate. But you could combine those and just ask your community members to self-declare, and then you go through and you screen all candidates at the same time. So you shorten your timeline by as much as you can, because we know that having those vacancies is really, really hard, and that somebody, I know someone in here today, is working like 5 roles right now, and I'm sure there's many others. So it's about really kind of seeing how we can make that work. Setting clear expectations. Maybe it's asking more from our managers. Maybe it's getting more input from, as a collective, how our hiring process is going to go and what we want, and then really setting to achieve those. And then the regular check-ins and the meetings and stuff are huge. They're super important. The other thing that I had is technology. I think that Abdul's going to talk about it a little bit this afternoon, but utilizing IT in a way that's right for you and really supports what you're looking for is huge. So having an HRIS system, I know that there's some systems that does everything for you. There's some that just assist and support in that process, but really taking advantage of those tools is huge. And then you could also do feedback at the end, asking for that new hire's input and what have we done well, what could we have improved on, and as you grow and continue to hire, you're going to find that you have less and less to improve on, and you can just continue to grow. So next we're going to watch a video. It's kind of a funny Superstore video, but it exaggerates old practices and what we're doing that maybe we could improve on.
Damn it, Glenn, I told you to rewind these things on your own time.
Wish I could rewind you on your own time.
What?
Yeah. Oh, good. Okay, great. This month's video is called The Cloud9 Dress Code, Looking Bad at Work.
Oh.
Why do they want us to look bad?
Oh, no, it's because the video's from the 1980s. Back then, bad meant good.
Oh, so I guess that means you're a bad boss, right, Glenn?
Yeah, I'm a really bad boss. I'm a bad one.
Yeah.
Oh, so like when people say Michael Jackson was bad, they really meant he was good.
Well, yes and no.
Wow, the 80s are so confusing.
I know what you're thinking. Another training video? Gag me with the spoon. But don't wig out, because we're keeping this one fresh with special appearances from 2 all-American heroes, Bill Cosby and O.J. Simpson. So grab an Ecto Cooler and pump up your Reeboks, because we're going to talk about some fresh threads.
God, I love his hair.
Glenn, these videos are so outdated, they're almost irrelevant.
Irrelevant? Gotta disagree with you there. I saw Bill Cosby on the news last night. He must be playing somewhere locally.
I feel like we could make a better video than this.
Yeah. You know what? I bet we could make our own training videos.
No, I wasn't suggesting that we actually do it.
Yeah, you're right. We wouldn't have time to clean the bathrooms. And you know how those old ladies from the Crestwood nursing home just destroyed those. Tubular!
This is such a bad idea.
Thank you. It is a bad idea.
I said bad meaning bad.
That's what I meant. Bad.
So just some humor. Just a funny reminder, though, too, that emphasizing the importance of clear communication, cultural alignment, mentorships, creating a supportive and learning environment are all crucial to that onboarding and that recruiting kind of process. So these are training videos that you have sporadically throughout your organization to be compliant, but it doesn't matter what the content is, having it be relevant is really important. Any process or practice? Could everyone hear her? She said that they developed a policy that there wasn't anything before, so there was lots of movement and shift. So now they're going to implement something from ground. I think that that's really important. I think that the shift to think that you can really grow is important, but I think that having that structure and opportunity known right from the onset of a new hire is important. Just letting them know the value. Mentorship programs, that I've been a part of have been really successful too. So if you see somebody who's a green in your organization and you think, oh, our band manager, executive director is going to be leaving in 3 years, 4 years, let's mentor that role, and or have a couple mentors that can kind of cross control, like, so you're cross multiple shifts, and that's a great opportunity for people to learn. And I think people feel value in themselves and in their role when you give them such opportunities, so that's important. So I've got one activity that I want us to break into parts today. So I have 4 successful Canadian businesses. We've got Shopify, WestJet, Lululemon, and then TD Bank. All of these companies are doing different things well. So I was just thinking that we could kind of divide and kind of see. We can give you note paper. You can just take notes at your table if you want. But I want you kind of to learn, like, learning from these successful businesses can provide us valuable insights in promoting, recruiting, onboarding, and retaining staff. We want to pick out the best strategies that are going to work for us in our business and really personalize them, like I said, for that process. So Shopify is doing cultural immersion, peer support, and comprehensive training. WestJet has really strong focus on values, engaging orientation, and empowering and responsibility. Lululemon has a lifestyle integration, employee engagement, and continued development. And then TD Bank has a comprehensive orientation program with mentorship opportunities that emphasize the diverse and inclusion. So I want us to just kind of go and see what they're doing well, what each program has. So just as an example, Shopify has cultural immersion, peer support, comprehensive training. I want you to kind of brainstorm and think, what are they doing well? But then bring it back to your own First Nation and see, what do you have that you could sell? What could your job advertisements add and bring value to what's an employee going to gain from your organization, and making sure that that employee and organizational fit is a good match. So if you wanted to work at your tables, that's fine, and then we can just talk about it. Does that work? We'll do 5 minutes and just do some research and see. So these are if we could leave those up, sorry. These are what they're doing well, and then try to think of how that would transfer into your own organization. Okay, so I'll just start again. I met at some tables, and I know that it's hard to translate from a First Nation is very different, and I'm not trying to make it mainstream and go that way. I just really wanted, like, we were discussing the Lululemon brand, and lots of times it is just that brand, right? People get in their head, oh, it's Lululemon, I need that. My kids are famous for that. Most kids are. But I think that it's more than that for a First Nation. It's really about selling the cultural fit, being able to go and practice ceremony and attending those things, do fall harvest as a reset, or do like cultural on the land kind of components, or having your break at Christmas to spend with your family, or incorporating the professional development and the learning and the cultural learnings that go along with it. So I think that there's lots of really good things that we can sell as a First Nation to add that to the job description. We were also talking that some communities are closer to the city, some are more remote. So some First Nations have a different impact than others, right? So that's also a big factor, but we're not all the same. So for you, that might be a really good selling point. You get somebody that lives in the city. I know there's another lady here that drives an hour and a half to go to work every day and an hour and a half home. So it's every community is different, but I think we all have really good selling points. So I think the cultural connection, cultural connection is huge. So offering cultural programs and sharing that there can be components of that role. Cultural competencies, having opportunities to learn and grow. Community engagement. So impactful work, if you're supporting your community members, maybe that's more rewarding than just supporting anyone. The volunteer and the involvement kind of component of things, you get to see and work with family and friends and people that you know every day, and you see the value in your help for them. the work balance life for a First Nation is none other, right? You get that opportunity to go and live and work, and then you get that family opportunity that's so important and valued. So I think that's another one. But that emphasis on your well-being and your mental health and your own personal perspective is far more valued from a First Nation employer than it is from a non-Aboriginal employer. The career opportunities, so leadership development maybe, or training and education. The supportive work environment, I think that having someone that is that blue that's going to take you under their arm and mentor you and really guide you and show you what there is to available is something that's different in a First Nation setting than in a non-Aboriginal setting. Comprehensive pay, so retirements, health and wellness packages, your benefits, those are good values that I think some employers aren't putting on their job postings that could really enhance. Lots of times people are only offered part-time or up to so many hours now to eliminate benefits. So that's something that First Nation employers are really next level at. The job stability and the security, long-term, really a commitment to employee retention. The employers want their people to stay. So I think that having that and instilling that into that job posting and sharing that is really important. And then the environmental stewardship part, I think knowing that holistic approach and really understanding that lifestyle is different than working for a non-Aboriginal organization. So in conclusion, I think that these perks are really, they can set your community apart. Every community does things differently, but I think it's really important to share what those differences are. And maybe I'm going to gravitate to something that more aligns with me. And like I said earlier, I tell my children, you have to do this for the rest of your life. You want to make sure that you're a good fit to that community just as much as that organization wants you as an employee. So really understanding that and enriching the organization as a whole, I think is really important. So does anyone have anything that they want to share? Some practices or things that they've done to their job postings to include that have set them apart from other communities or other employers? No?
We added pay.
Oh, added pay, okay.
People want to know, otherwise they don't want to apply.
Yep. Or you go through that process of you've gone through the interview and then you say, what are your salary expectations? And they're like, and then you've wasted all that time, right? So it's a huge save. People know up front and you're supported on your end too. Thank you. Anyone else? I know that Christmas break isn't always a for sure thing, but I think saying that a 2-week holiday over your Christmas vacation is based on approval of leadership, whatever, I think that's a huge drawing card too that some employers don't often get. And time with your family is really important. Cultural leave days, promoting culture and the activities and the teachings and stuff I think are really important to advertise and promote and share that you're going to go to work and you're going to do your job, but then you're also going to be you're going to get that tangible for yourself, what you want out of that organization or that opportunity. Ceremonies, fall harvest, those kind of activities are important. And then any leaves and that kind of stuff I think are important. People just want to know up front and they don't want to call and ask or they don't want to inquire. So lastly, this is what I've got for an onboarding checklist so far. So I've kind of gone through and I've put who the employee is and then the process of everything. And there'll be dates completed. You can put reminders for when you next need to do things moving forward. So I just wanted to give you what is the goal of the toolkit. So it's designed to provide a structured and streamlined approach focusing on effective and consistent communication so that you have letter templates and kind of drafted emails, things that you can kind of just go and pluck and pull in your information and put on your letterhead. Maintaining timelines and schedules, so having what your 2-week orientation should be or how you have to meet again with your managers at this time and really kind of structuring that so that you know that this manager of the education department is going to do these duties and you can connect and click back to make sure that those are happening. Ensuring that our regulations and compliances are met and adhered to. Enhancing the new hire experience, so what do you want to do that's specific to your community? What can you add to this timeline? So it's yours. You can take out, delete, add, do whatever you want to it. Outlining the clear expectations, goals, objectives for the role. Facilitating team and organizational integration. So like I said with GovernWise, the team meetings and the weekly check-ins with my boss, and they kind of just keep us on track and keep us in contact, so that it's not 100 texts a day, or it's not an email all the time for things that aren't relevant. You can kind of have your list and you do your regular. So the other component of this is it's important for building that strong communication and thriving within the workplace, but it also ensures that you're getting the right talent for what your role is and for the organization. So making sure that everything aligns. And you want the structured process to be really highlighting everything, and that you're consistent and that you're sharing. Oftentimes I've found that managers in departments are the ones that are doing your hiring, and then nothing's really consistent. Everything kind of flexes amongst what that manager's writing style is, or their timeline, or whatever. So retention is the other part, and I think it's increasingly more important to worry about that retention, but making that person feel really valued and welcomed and right from the onset is huge. And then worrying about your retention, making sure that they're doing the work successfully, they have a work plan, they have everything that they need to be successful, that you've laid it all out for them. So the checklist is going to come with some templates, some examples, some letters, just kind of a guideline. But if you have anything that you'd like to add, or if you think I need anything, or you have input for me, I'm going to have business cards at the back. And then I'd really appreciate your input. I'm grateful for the opportunity to speak for you today. And I hope that it's valuable and that you learned a little and that you want to bring it back to your communities. And I look forward to working with you all. Thank you so much for your time today.